Okay, so today we're going to be doing some parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines, remember, if you remember from previous, are going to have slopes that are the same. And so they kind of look like this. If this is my first line, here's my second line. And, well, imagine that was more straight, I guess. It doesn't matter how far I extend these two lines, they will never cross. Okay? By the way, oftentimes you're going to see a shorthand parallel lines like that, instead of writing out the entire word. Perpendicular is going to be where they cross at perfectly right angles. So I'm going to shorthand it using an upside down T. And again, when they cross, this is going to be a perfect right angle here, or a 90-degree angle. And their slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. Oops, there we go. What do I mean by opposite reciprocal? Well, if the previous slope was 3/5, that's the original slope. The perpendicular slope, when I say opposite, that means you need to switch the positive and negative. And when I say reciprocal, well, that's the same thing as reciprocal when you had to solve equations. Just take the fraction and flip it. That is your perpendicular slope. Now, what if it was already negative? Now, in that case, it would become a positive 2/1. Oh, except, wait a minute. If I have a 2/1, we know that anything divided by 1 is just itself. So I'm just going to turn that into a 2. Now, the one thing that I get questioned a lot is, well, what happens if it's just a, let's say, a 4? What does that become? Well, I'll turn that into a fraction, first of all, because that way when I do my reciprocal, it's 1/4. Oh, it was positive, so that means it should be negative. So today what we're going to do is pretty much just like all the other days, last couple days, and we're just going to add this one piece here where it is perpendicular or parallel. So to start off, they're going to give me a point, and they're going to give me an old line. I don't really care about this old line except for the slope. Go ahead and highlight the slope here. The y-intercept on the old line, get rid of it. People every year get super confused about that old y-intercept. Shouldn't they be doing something? Where does it plug in? They leave it in. No, that's the old line. The only thing I care about with the old line is the slope. And then because it says I want perpendicular, I'm going to take this slope and turn it into the perpendicular slope, which is going to be a positive 3/5. Now use those same two methods we've learned last day or so about writing equations. You can either do the 3-step where it's like, well, what's my slope equal? What's my y-intercept? What's my equation? Or you can do the method where it was y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. This time, I'm going to do the 3-step method. I tell you what, on number 7, I'll do the y minus y method. It doesn't matter which method you use, you will get the same answer. So for the m equals 3/5. B, I don't know what that is. I need to solve for it. So let's do, if this is my x and y, then I have -3 equals my slope, m. Hey, if you forgot, I'm doing y equals mx plus b. That's what I'm doing. So my slope was 3/5. My x is -9. I don't know what b is. That's the whole point of what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go ahead and multiply 3/5 times -9. That's going to give me a negative 27/5. Looks like I need to get rid of the 27/5 by adding it. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Oh, goodness. Might need a calculator or do some fraction conversions. This is going to be 12/5. Right there. All right, so what's my y? I'm going to have to bring this over and write it where I have more space. Y equals 3/5 x plus 12 fifths. And if you did the other method, you should have gotten the same answer. Okay, so let's try another one. They gave me a point. Cool. Here's my old slope. And again, I don't care about the old y-intercept. Okay, he can go out and get ice cream or something. We don't need him today. Goodbye. Now this time it says I want a parallel slope. So the parallel slope to this would be 7/8. Okay, this time I'm going to do that y minus y method. So y minus y1. Okay, so again, my point is xy. So I have, oops, that was supposed to be a y minus the negative 10 equals the slope, which is 7/8. X minus x1, which is 4. All right, looks like now I can distribute. So 7/8 x minus, what is that, 28/8, which would simplify to 3.5, is that correct? Ooh, I have a double negative over here. Let's fix that to be a plus. Oh, that was the wrong color. All right, my work's kind of strewn out. Let's get this back together here. So we have y plus 10 equals 7/8 x minus 3.5. The reason I went ahead and converted to a decimal is because it's going to make that easier for me to visualize in my head how to do that. To become negative 13.5. In Delta Math, I don't think it's going to let you do any decimal answers. I know for slope it's probably going to make you do fraction, so I would assume it's going to make you do fraction here as well. So you could have either left this as a fraction the whole time, or you'll just need to convert this as your final answer. Okay, let me throw you this hint. Sometimes the equation isn't already in slope-intercept form. I know it's really tempting to look at this old equation and think, oh yeah, I can totally do this in my head, and I know what the slope is. Do yourself a huge favor. Go ahead and rewrite this first, because I promise you it's really easy to make a mistake. I watch people make this mistake every year. Just do it. Put this equation into slope-intercept form. Again, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That way you can clearly see the slope. Clearly see the slope. Did I say that right? Okay. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And then I'm going to divide by 3. When I do that, notice instead of dividing everything at the same time on the right by 3, I go ahead and individualize that so that I have negative 1/3 x plus 2. I could have left that as just a negative x divided by 3, but that's more difficult for me to see, well, what is that slope? Go ahead, make that its own fraction. I recognize that this is negative 1x. Okay, so that lets it be a negative 1/3 x. Because now I can very easily see that my old slope is negative 1/3. Do yourself a favor, do all that first. Then after you do that, you can cross off that old b. All right. And let's see, it goes through the point 2,4. I'm looking for parallel, so that means my parallel slope is negative 1/3. Okay, you can go from there, you know, with your three-step method or your y minus y, and get your equation from there. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to do that because there's some Delta Math, and I think I'm going to do a couple Delta Math examples with you, but I'll do a second video for that, so.